Hello, everyone out there in Rumble X and YouTube land. Welcome back to Diego Knows. I, of course, am Diego, and today we're going to talk some more about Devil Wears Prada. Your favorite chick flick, not mine, but it's not that bad. Some good stuff here. There is some good stuff here. Okay, I was pleasantly surprised by some of the movie. Ultimately, this movie is still a piece of crap, in my opinion. Okay, and probably in most straight guys' opinion. It's not very realistic. Okay, it asks a lot of interesting questions. You know, it tackles some good subject matter here, but it gives us no resolution. Okay, it doesn't even have the audacity to let us come up with an answer to the big problems that it raises. Okay, it just cops out at the end. It just cops out. All right, and we're just supposed to go with it. Okay, because they expect you ladies to be stupid. Okay, this movie, chick flicks are all about your feelings. They have nothing to do with logic. Okay, now you can make the same argument when guy movies. Okay, yeah, oh yeah, well I saw, yesterday, true story. Yesterday I saw Commando for the first time. Okay, I know, right? Like Schwarzenegger's like one of my idols growing up. All right, and I've never seen Commando before. I know, turn in my man card. I know, all right, because I was all about movies like that when I was a kid. All right, I want all Stallone, all the Rambo movies, the Rocky movies, the Terminator, Predator. I love that stuff growing up. I lived for that stuff. I even watched like the old Chuck Norris movies, dude, like Octagon and stuff like that. I mean, you're missing in action. Watch that crap, right? Because it was fun. You're a kid, you believe in the out of this world stuff, all right? But believe it or not, I had never seen Commando. I had never seen it, all right? And I heard a lot about it. I watched YouTube channels that talk about it, but I've never seen it myself. So my son and I was like, hey, I'm going to show him a movie that came out like when I was a kid. Let's just watch it together. Okay? And so I picked Commando. It's free on YouTube, all right? So we watched Commando. And while I was watching this movie with my 9-year-old, I was just cracking up. I mean, how bad it was. I was like, oh my God. You had to be like an 11, 12-year-old boy to really to just like get lost in that movie and just like really love it. I had to be a kid again to really fall in love with that stuff. Okay, because now I fell in love with Commando, but for the opposite reasons. Like, that movie was so bad. It was so cheesy. It was such a product of its time. The music was terrible. The acting was terrible. The stunts were unbelievable. I mean, it was just, a testosterone-filled, cocaine-filled fantasy. Okay, and the fact that Jeff Loeb wrote it. Okay, now Jeff Loeb, he wrote a lot of comic books and stuff. He was actually in charge of Marvel, the TV production side. They did like the Daredevil Netflix show, and they did like the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. TV show on ABC. They did all that stuff. He was in charge of that, and then Kevin Feige fired all of them. But anyway. And he wrote a lot of really good comic books, like The Long Halloween and stuff, and Daredevil Yellow and stuff like that. So he's a really good comic book writer too. But he wrote Commando. Okay, he also invented Teen Wolf, believe it or not. Yeah, from the Michael J. Fox '80s Teen Wolf, he invented that. He created that. Okay, I know they turned it into like a chick show, a teenage chick show later on, but he invented that. All right, so he's a very talented guy, and he wrote this, and I was like, oh my, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. You got to be a little kid to really appreciate this movie, okay? But it was fun. I was laughing. I was cracking up so bad. I mean, the one-liners that were in there, I'll be back. The muscle flexing. I mean, there's a scene where Arnold is in his fucking Speedo for no reason at all, just to be in a Speedo. Just to show off his body, I mean, it's just ridiculous. Okay. Alyssa Milano was in it, and that should tell you something, because Alyssa Milano and I are the same age. Okay, we're the same age. I think we are. I had the hots for her when I was a kid, when she was on Who's the Boss, I had the biggest crush on her, and now I just think she's an insufferable, disgusting piece of crap. But when I was a kid, I was in love with her. I watched Who's the Boss because of her. I mean, I did. But anyway, now I can't stand her. But, so just watching that with my son, it just reminded me, okay, of how fake those movies were. Okay, I mean, I still appreciate the nostalgia of it. It was fun watching a movie from back then. With all the sound effects, and the bad acting, and I recognized character. Oh, that guy was in Predator, and that guy was the guy that said Warriors come out to play back in the Warriors movie. So I was just recognizing actors, like, oh my God, Bill Paxton played like a Navy operator, telephone operator or something. He had a small role. But just things like that. Ray Don Chong was in it. Who's ever heard of her now? I bet you didn't even know that's Tommy Chong's daughter, did you? From Cheech and Chong. But she is. She was a big thing in the 80s. Okay. Anyway, so the point is that I watched that movie and I could see how crap it was. Okay, it's completely unbelievable, not realistic at all. Okay, but it was fun. It was fun, and I knew it was fun. I know goddamn well that if I'm hanging on the wheel of a 747 that just took off over the airport, and I jump off, and I land into like a swamp that's 4 feet deep, I'm not gonna be able just to get up and walk away from that. Okay, I'm gonna fucking die. All right, I know that. I know this stuff's never gonna happen to me. I know that if I'm in a gunfight, with 2 machine guns, bare chested, covered in camo paint, walking around with 2 machine guns, shooting at, I'm shooting literally 100 terrorists, okay, bodyguards that are all armed, and every single one of them misses me, and yet I hit every single one of them. I know that's not going to happen if I try that in real life. I'm going to get shot pretty fast, and I'm going to die pretty fast and very painfully, okay? I know that. I know that, okay? It's never going to happen. You women watch stuff like this, like Devil Wears Prada, and you think it's going to happen to you. You think this is real. Because I know someone that went through the exact same thing. No, I don't know anyone that went through what John Matrix Schwarzenegger's commando character did. I don't know anyone, and I was in the military, okay? I was in the Marines, okay? And I was in a combat MOS, okay? I fought in the Marines, all right? And I don't know anybody that could survive that, okay? Without even putting themselves in that situation, okay? But a lot of you women watch these rom-coms or these chick flicks, and you think that it's real. You think it's going to happen to you, okay? And that's why you love it so much. Oh, look what happened. I reviewed Pretty Woman like a year ago or something, or 2 years ago, something like that. It's on this channel. And I remember, the movie is about a street hooker, a millionaire, good-looking, rich, successful, confident, single, straight, no kids, guy, multimillionaire falls in love with a street hooker, and the street hooker's best friend was a drug addict. Okay, it showed it. That was a plot point in the movie. Is that her best friend was a drug addict. Okay, she would literally would rather eat like the garnishes from a bar, like the cherries and limes and stuff they have in a bar, the olives. She'll eat that for food because she can't afford food because she spends all of her trick money on drugs. Okay, that was a plot point in the movie. Okay, and then at the end of the movie, Julia Roberts' character, she can't take the $4,000 that her John paid her for her services because that would feel like she was used when she really legitimately fell in love with him. And if she takes his money for the pussy she gave up, that would make her feel cheap and disgusting. So instead, she decides to give that $4,000 to her best friend, her drug addicted best friend, who is still a prostitute, and tells her, use this to open up your beauty salon or whatever, or go to beauty school, do hair, because that's what she really wanted to do. Okay, yet the movie never answers the question, why the fuck would you give a woman who is openly addicted to drugs $4,000? What do you think she's going to do with that $4,000? Do you think she's going to put it into barber college or something? No, she's going to buy a shitload of fucking drugs and she's going to fucking overdose. But the movie doesn't ask that question, does it? Because it ruins the ending with her and her best friend. You see what I mean? And that's what this movie does. It asks some very important questions. What are you willing to sacrifice so that you can climb that corporate ladder and get to where you deserve, queen? What are you willing to sacrifice to get there? And is it worth it? Is it worth it? Because let me tell you something, it's lonely at the top. Even if you make it up there, it's lonely at the top. You see what I mean? Now, I know capitalism pushes this. Okay, you got to work your way up. You start off poor, you know, and you go to school and you work your way to the top. You earn it. And that is correct, okay? But you're going to have to give up things to make it up there, especially if you start at the bottom. Now, if you're born rich, that's different. It's just like dating, okay? If you're born fucking Prince Harry, okay, you're not going to have a hard time getting laid, okay? But if you're born to a fat family living in a fucking trailer park in Jerkwater, Mississippi, okay, you're probably going to have a harder time getting an attractive girlfriend. You see what I mean? You're going to have to work your way up there. You see what I'm talking about? All right? And this movie asks important questions like that. Like, what are you willing to sacrifice to make it to your goal, to achieve the goal that you set for yourself? Okay? But it doesn't say, all right, you want to do it? You're willing to do that? Okay. Do it. Just don't do it in an industry that you don't give a shit about. Do it in an industry that you do give a shit about. You see what I mean? Okay, so you don't want to be a boss bitch like Miranda Priestley. You don't want to do what you have to do to get to a spot like that. Fine. That's the question this movie answers. Okay? All right, fine. You don't even like fashion. You don't even like the fashion industry. You don't care about it. Okay. So let's switch over to another industry. Journalism. And now let's do the exact same thing, but in a different industry. Shit on people while you're trying to work your way up. Sacrifice your personality, sacrifice the people that love you, sacrifice your friends, your family, your free time, your days off, your peace of mind, your sleep, okay? Your diet. Sacrifice all that shit. Your scruples, your morals. Sacrifice all that stuff so you can make it in this industry now instead of that industry. And that's the only difference. Remember, she's starting at the bottom. She's got to earn her way to the top. And as you progress, as you get more promoted, you get more money, you get more authority, you get more responsibility. Less free time, less social time. You see what I mean? The people that run these big organizations, do you think they have fucking time to play with their kids every night? They sure as fuck don't. They pay people to do that for them. Because they're looking at a bigger picture. They got bigger responsibilities than their own fucking family, than their own spouse, if they even have one. Okay, you see what I mean? So, like, it brings that up. It offers that argument. Okay, if you want to get here, you got to be willing to do this. And not everybody is. And maybe you shouldn't do that. But Andy, our main character, our protagonist, doesn't understand that. She understands that, okay, I'm turning into a cold-hearted, backstabbing bitch in this industry under my mentorship of Miranda. So instead, I'm just going to go to a different industry where I can be a cold-hearted, backstabbing bitch over there instead of over here. At least I like journalism. At least I want to be a writer. I'm not doing any writing in the fashion industry. I'm just fucking getting coffee. You see what I mean? And so it asks these very important questions, but it doesn't give you any sort of resolution. Okay, and that pissed me off. That's where they missed it. That's for me. That's where the movie fails. All right, but before that, let's get on to this video here real quickly here. I do have all the videos that I post here on YouTube. Okay, I do this for free. I'm not trying to make money here. Okay, the best things in life are free. If I can teach you something about the way dating works, about the way relationships work in real life. Okay, I'm not a young man anymore. Okay, I've been through a lot of relationships. Okay, dated lots of women. I kind of know what works and what doesn't work. All right, and a big part of my life was watching movies. Okay, and I've learned, okay, that a lot of the shit that's in the movie doesn't fucking work. Okay, the guys that are in these movies, okay, are not real men. They don't act like real men. Okay, and that's what I'm trying to communicate to you. Whether you're a guy or a girl, if you're a guy, okay, listen to me. Okay, I'll tell you what works and what doesn't work. And ladies, okay, listen to me. I'll tell you what's fake and what's not in these goddamn movies. Okay, and it's true. All right. Anyway, YouTube, is obviously owned by Google, okay, and they're in San Francisco, okay, and there's a lot of things they don't like us to talk about on here, okay. So everything that I upload here on YouTube, I also upload it on Rumble, okay. So if you want to go to my Rumble, okay, here we go. All right. Yeah, that's right here. There you go. See that? Okay, the top one up here. This one up here, okay, this is my X. That's my X, all right? And this one here is my Rumble, okay? So it's my X and my Rumble, all right? If you want to follow me over there as well. Everything I post here, I post it there too, all right? Let's get back to the movie. All right, now where we left off last time, what do you call it? Andy had to go to Miranda's house to drop off the mock book. It's one of her responsibilities. Now she's earned the right to do that, to stay at work until 10:30 p.m. when the book is ready, and then go over to Miranda's house, okay, and set it on her, like, her table that has flowers on it, and hang up her dry cleaning as well. Pick up her dry cleaning and hang that up as well. Okay, well, she screws that up on her first attempt. She actually talks to Miranda's daughters, her twin daughters, which she's not supposed to do, okay? And she actually goes up the stairs, okay, where she's not supposed to do, and she happens to walk in on an argument between Miranda and her husband, who we never see again in the movie, all right? And they're arguing because Miranda has missed a dinner date with him. Okay, he's upset about it. Obviously, this is not the first time she's done it, okay, but she misses her dates with her husband. Okay, they plan something, they're supposed to do something together, and then Miranda doesn't show up. Obviously, it has something to do with work. She's so invested in her job that she doesn't have time for her husband. She sure as hell doesn't have time for her daughters either. Okay, she's so into running the magazine that that's basically her focus in life. And her personal life has to suffer for it, okay? She keeps all of this a secret from her staff. Her staff is afraid of her, okay? They don't want to piss her off. Okay, a certain look that she gives will determine the entire course of an industry, okay? Based on her facial features, okay? So they try to cater to everything that she wants, all right? And she has no patience for anybody, okay? She disrespects everybody that's under her. She criticizes, she mocks, okay? She sets these incredible, impossible standards that nobody can fulfill, okay? And she does this on purpose to test their mettle, to test what they're willing to put up with, okay? But obviously, you know, for Andy, our protagonist, she's never been treated like this before. She's not used to this type of office culture, so she feels she's being picked on, okay? Fine, she did make a friend in Nigel, the gay art director at the magazine, and he basically told her, you need to change your wardrobe, okay? You need to start paying attention to how you look, okay? You don't look like you like fashion. You don't look like you belong here. You need to look like you want to be here, okay? And then maybe you'll get more respect, okay? Which is true. It was a shocking twist for me because I didn't expect that to happen. You know, obviously the movie wants you to feel sorry for Andy and sympathize with Andy and to hate Miranda, okay? But the scene where the gay guy tells her, no, actually, you're the bad guy here, Andy. You're the one that doesn't give a shit. You're the one, okay, that's not putting in the effort. You're the one, you know, that deserves to be treated this way because you're communicating to everybody here that you don't give a shit about us, that you don't care. All right, so why the fuck should we give a shit about you? You see what I mean? It makes sense, and I'm surprised the movie went in that direction, but it's true. Okay, it also highlighted that Miranda is in charge, but she's not in charge just because she's a bitch. She didn't fuck anybody to get there. Okay, Miranda's in charge because she's fucking really good at what she does. Okay, she's responsible for that fucking magazine. She gives 150% of herself to this fucking magazine, and she expects no less from her staff, from her underlings. Okay, they have to come in. Everybody there needs to give the same amount of commitment that she's giving. They have to make the sacrifice that she's willing to make. You really think she gives a shit that Andy has to work late, therefore she's going to miss her boyfriend's birthday party? Fuck no. She doesn't even fucking show up for her husband's birthday parties because she's so dedicated to this fucking magazine, much less her daughter's birthday parties. Okay, she cares more about the magazine than anything else. Why the fuck would she expect anything less from the people that work for her? You see what I mean? And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm saying this is it. This is the dark side of capitalism. Okay? You know, when we live in a merit-based society, the person that outworks the other person is the one who's going to get the job. Okay? The person who can out-manipulate the other one is the one who's going to get the job. That's just, you know, dog-eat-dog world. I'm sorry, that's the way it is. Call it the rat race. I was on a podcast recently, American Zombie, and we talked about that. And he mentioned, he's like, yeah, it's a rat race. What does it matter if you win the rat race? You're still a rat. Okay, and that's the question this movie brings up. All right, so we left off last time. She went to the house, okay, dropped off the book. She screwed it all up. She actually walked in on Miranda arguing with her husband. That pissed off Miranda. Miranda did not say anything. She just gave her the, look like that, like you're gonna get it tomorrow. So now it's time, okay? Andy shows up for work. Obviously Emily, played by Emily Blunt, okay, who's way too much fucking makeup on, way too much mascara and fucking and hair dye and fucking lipstick on, okay? Tries to ass chew Andy for fucking up the dropping off of the book, okay? And then Miranda summons her. So now Andy's like, oh god. So she goes in there to get her ass chewed by her boss, all right? So Andy is wearing a very distracting 6 foot long goddamn pearl necklace, okay, it's bouncing off of her stomach. It's pretty stupid, okay? And she tells Emily that she's not being called Emily anymore, which I guess that's a good thing, all right? Okay, oh, sorry, that hasn't happened yet, all right. So, where we left off, okay, blah, blah, blah. Damn it, where did we leave off? Okay. Wake up, sweetheart. Okay, just give me a second here. Andy starts accepting more responsibility. Yes, all that happened. Okay. Okay, so we're and declare it with Miranda's dry. Okay, so yeah, so all that happened. Oh, sorry about that. Sorry about that. I got lost here. Okay. Okay, so Miranda orders. Okay, so Miranda summons Andy into her office. Okay. Now she doesn't mention anything about what happened last night, but she's clearly pissed off at her. But she does it in her very melancholy way, like that, all right? Okay, it's surprising that Miranda has not fired her yet, okay? Because she has berated her, okay? She has, just talked so bad to her, all right? It's surprising that she hasn't fired her, all right? So Miranda orders Andy, okay, to get her a copy of the new, unpublished Harry Potter novel, okay? The manuscript, okay? Now, like I said, the book has not been published yet. Now, the book she's talking about is Harry and the Deathly Hallows, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, okay, which came out in 2007. This movie came out in 2006, okay? So the manuscript for that book, okay, is only the publisher has it. It has not been printed yet, it has not been sold yet, it's not been released to the public, okay? Well, apparently Miranda's daughters are big Harry Potter fans, okay? And they want to know how the book ends. They want to know how the Deathly Hallows ends, okay? How it ends the Harry Potter series, all right? So what Miranda tells Andy is, I need you to get a hold of that book, and I want it on my desk by 3 p.m., okay? Because her daughters just love that series, okay? Those two little twin bitches that we met, okay, earlier, okay, at her house, okay? So now obviously this is an impossible task, okay? Nobody can get this fucking done, okay? Andy would have to go to the publisher and ask them, hey, I need a copy of the manuscript for Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, okay? And they're not going to do that. She has no connections in the industry like that. She can't just call the president of Warner Brothers Publishing, okay, and get that book. She can't do it. Okay, so she knows that's it. That's it for her. Miranda also says, I want my steak here as well. Okay, now that's easier to do, okay? She wants her steak in 15 minutes. Okay, so now Andy's flipping out. She's on her cell phone. She's running out of the office. She runs across the street to Smith & Walensky's, okay, which is a famous steakhouse. I've been there many times, not in New York, but the one in Chicago. It's right there on the river, okay, on Wabash. It's on Wacker Drive and State Street. Okay, so anyway, yeah, so she goes over to Smith & Walensky's and gets the steak, all right? Now, Andy runs over there, okay, and she's on her phone, okay, while she's waiting for the steak to get cooked. She's on her phone calling all these publishers, trying to get a hold of this goddamn book, right? Now, while she's walking out of the building, she notices there's an ad on the side of a bus it's an ad for Christian Thompson. Now, we met him earlier. He's a famous author, okay? Andy has read his work before in college, and she met him at a gay fashion party, okay, earlier in the movie. Okay, and he was actually flirting with her, but she's got a boyfriend that she lives with who's nowhere near as successful, nowhere near as rich, nowhere near as influential in the publishing industry. Okay, I mean he's an assistant chef at a restaurant that has paper napkins. Okay, that's what her boyfriend does. All right, and obviously Christian Thompson's more successful, more handsome, more everything. Okay, than her boyfriend. Okay, so she decides to call him because maybe he has some connections and he can get her a copy of that book. All right, so that's what she does. All right, and she calls Christian Thompson. Blah blah blah. That's all going on here. Okay, Andy, he tells her he answers the phone. He tells her it's impossible. There's no way. You're gonna have to tell Miranda you can't do it. Okay, there's no way you're gonna get a copy of J.K. Rowling's, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. Okay, that's impossible. Anyway, so now Andy's kind of like resigned herself to the fact that she's gonna get fired today. Okay, there's no way she can get that book by 3 p.m. All right. So anyway, that's going on. Andy runs into the office, okay, with the steak, okay, and even Emily tells her to calm down. Emily, who's always spazzing and yelling at Andy every fucking day and making fun of her, okay, and mocking her, okay, and telling her how fucking, Andy had better not fuck up or else it's her ass that's on the line. Emily's always doing this shit. Even Emily is telling Andy to calm the fuck down, okay? Emily's basically a reflection of what Andy's going to turn into. Okay, Emily is the first assistant. She used to be the second assistant, so she knows all the responsibilities that Andy has. Okay, but Andy looks at Emily. Oh my God! If I stick around here long enough, I get to be Emily. Is that really where I want to go? You see what I mean? All right. So anyway, Emily tells her to calm the fuck down. Okay, and Miranda tells Andy, okay, because she's there for her steak. She tells Andy, "What the hell is this? I'm gonna go have lunch with blah blah blah." Oh, and by the way, if that manuscript is not on my desk by 3 p.m., don't even bother coming back. And walks away, all right? So obviously Andy is like, that she's fucked now, okay? She's pissed off. She takes it out on the steak. It's a nice steak, man. It's like a T-bone porterhouse. But she takes the steak and throws it into a fucking sink all pissed off. Like, God damn it. I tried so hard to get you your fucking steak. And I tried so hard to get you your goddamn manuscript. Okay, you just fucking told me I'm not eating that shit. So you wasted my time. And if I don't get that fucking book, I'm fired. Okay, and I've only got a few hours to get it. All right, so now she's kind of screwed. Okay, so Andy is in shock. She's just like, now we've seen her a lot like this in the movie so far. This is just another time. Okay, she's acted like this many times. She's always like. The whole movie, Andy's that way, okay? So anyway, so Miranda, okay, now, a lot of people could say that Miranda's being an absolute bitch to Andy. This is not fair. Andy didn't really do anything that wrong, okay? Okay, so she went up the stairs and happened to see Miranda arguing with her husband, okay? Okay, yeah, she didn't like that, okay, but what the fuck? All right, it's not a terminable offense. At least it shouldn't be. Okay, so obviously it looks like Miranda is taking this out on Andy. Is punishing her for daring to get a glimpse at at Miranda's personal life. Okay, which she has no business doing. Okay, I can see that it's petty. Okay, but she could have just fired her. She didn't have to make her like into some sort of fucking spastic dancing monkey on her last day. You know what I mean? So why? So obviously our sympathies are with Andy. This is not fair to her. Okay, but let me tell you something. Okay. Like I said before, I've been in the Marines and I've worked in corporations, okay? I know what they expect. They expect results, okay? I already told you about Miranda. She's very good at what she does. She can't be bothered with petty little shit, okay? She pays people to handle the little things because she's in charge of the bigger picture, okay? Her responsibilities are a lot higher than Emily's or Andy's or Nigel's, okay? She's responsible for the whole goddamn magazine, not just a small part of it, okay? So there's a method to her madness, okay? Now, Miranda, okay, if you take your emotions out of the situation and just look at it for what it is, okay? Pretend that you're on fucking Andy's side here and just look at the situation for what it is. Kind of be neutral about it, all right? Miranda is actually helping Andy here. Miranda is teaching Andy how to improvise, how to multitask, how to think 3 steps ahead. Okay? How to be creative. Okay? How to manage her time. And how to get everything done super fucking fast and accurate. And how do you learn these things? You learn it better when your ass is up against the fucking wall. That's when. That's how you learn. I told you, I was in the Marines. I got yelled at. I got tortured. You know why? Because that's how you fucking learn. You get taught what happens to you when you're not moving with speed and efficiency. Okay? You get taught really early on what happens when you don't fucking move fast enough. You got to move fast and you got to be accurate. How are you supposed to be creative if you never get put in a situation where you have to be? How can you learn how to manage your time if you're never put in situations where you have to manage your time? You see what I mean? People do their best when their ass is on fire. Now, Miranda knows that she can fire Andy at any moment. So she uses the threat of terminating her to get her to fucking move. This is how you quit fucking up. You gotta light that fire on your ass. Yes, it burns, it hurts. But this is how you learn. Okay, don't you get it? Miranda is teaching Andy how to be like her. How do you think Miranda learned how to get to where she is? The same fucking way. Someone put some fire on her ass. And she learned how to multitask because she fucking had to. Because if she didn't, she was gonna get fired. And now she's teaching that to Andy. The same way it was taught to her. Now you could call it right or wrong, okay, or whatever. Okay, you could cry about it. It's not fair. I'm gonna call HR on you. Can't treat people this way. You can do all that fucking crybaby bullshit, okay? The bottom line is people do it because it fucking works. It works. You just can't take it personal. And when it comes to chick flicks, everything's personal. You see what I mean? That's the difference. That's the difference. You women take everything fucking personal. Therefore, Miranda has to be the villain because of the way she talked to you. Not why she did it. Not the benefits you're getting out of it. It's actually a sign of respect. She's actually going to take her time to teach her the way she learned. Is she teaching Emily that? Did she teach Emily how to think on her feet real fast? Actually, she did. How else are you going to be like her? You got to be put in the same situation. How else are you going to learn how to fight if you don't get a hit? You see what I mean? How are you going to learn to be a professional fighter if you never get punched? If you never get hurt? It's through this pain that you learn how to fight. You get punched enough times, you're going to get better and not getting punched. You see what I mean? That's how it works. That's real life. I can't sugarcoat that for you. And that's exactly what Miranda is teaching Andy here. So instead of you all calling Miranda a bitch, give her a little bit of credit. She kind of knows what she's doing. Anyway, so that's going on here. I thought it was a very good scene that she's teaching Andy all this stuff. Okay, multitasking, think 3 steps ahead, be creative, manage your time, get everything done fast, okay? Because this is how Miranda is, and she wants her assistant to be able to keep up with her. That's exactly right. Okay, I learned that in the Marines. Okay, so the next scene here, Andy calls her boyfriend, okay, at work. While he's at work, working as an assistant chef at a restaurant. While he's working, he answers his phone and talks to her while he's working. Bullshit, okay? And tells him that she's going to quit. And he's actually happy for her. He's, oh, thank God, baby. I'm happy for you. You get to be free now. You're free. You don't have to be chained to that fucking magazine anymore. Always having to check your phone, even in the middle of the night and stuff, So he's actually happy for her that she's decided to quit, okay? Well, guess what? Immediately after that phone call, Christian Thompson calls her, okay? He calls her and he tells her that who's the man? Who's the man? Guess what? I can get a hold of a copy of Harry Potter. I can get a hold of it. And I know somebody who knows somebody, who's doing me a solid here, okay? So I can get you a copy of the manuscript for the book. And now Annie's like, oh, okay, Christian to the rescue, So she decides to go meet him at this hotel the St. Regis Hotel. Okay, why do we have to show that? I don't know why, but anyway, she gets there and she gets a copy of the manuscript from him. He's like, you can have it for 1 hour, and that's it. So she grabs it, and then she runs off with it, all right? Now, the very next scene, okay, Andy slowly walks into Miranda's office, you know, with a smug look on her face, and she hands the manuscript to Miranda. Here, for you. Miranda's like, what am I supposed to do with that? I have 2 daughters. What are they supposed to do? Share? And he says, like, actually, I actually already made 2 copies for your daughters, which I binded and covered them. And your daughters are actually reading them right now on the train. This is your copy, just in case you wanted to read it yourself. So Miranda is like, is there anything else? No, that'll be all. So clearly Andy has succeeded. Okay? She improvised. She thought about the guy that she met. Maybe he could help her. Okay? She went out of her way to do above and beyond. Miranda only told her, okay, I want to copy the manuscript, okay? But Andy took the own initiative to make 2 copies for her daughters, because she has twins, okay? And to make a 3rd copy for her, for Miranda. Because Miranda said, I want that manuscript on my desk. She succeeded. Now, what am I going to do with that? My daughters, well, I already thought of them. I already took care of that. Your daughters already have a copy, and they're reading it right now. She thought 3 steps ahead. You see, this is exactly how Miranda thinks. And this is exactly how she wants her staff to think. Okay? When I say I want a fucking copy of the unpublished, you know, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, okay, you better fucking ship me one. I'm not asking you how to do it. I'm telling you what to do. The how is your problem. Okay, you know why she's that way? Because that's how she runs the fucking magazine. That's what the investors, the president, okay? We met him earlier, Irv Kravitz, okay? That's what he expects from Miranda. You get me a fucking top-selling fucking magazine. I want a top-selling fucking magazine. That is your responsibility. Don't fucking ask me how. You work out the how. You just get it done. That's the pressure Miranda is under. So, of course, that's the type of energy and pressure she's going to give her staff. Is it right or wrong? That's up for you to decide. I've worked in those situations before, okay? And I can tell you there's a lot of people that can't handle it. There's a lot of people that take it personal. Okay, there's a lot of people that's just not for them. They don't want to work in that type of environment. They'd rather work in a friendly, like a mom and pop type place where you know the owner and you can talk to them and have lunch with them all the time. Not when you work for a corporation that cares more about the numbers. You see what I mean? That's up to you whether it's right or wrong. But I will tell you this, it works. It works. Okay? It might hurt your feelings, but it works. So quit taking it personal. All right? So Annie did a very good job here. Okay? She impressed Miranda, which is very hard to do, obviously. You know? And so she won that one, okay? She won that one, okay? So good for her. Good for her. I thought it was a great scene in the movie. All right? Okay. I'm going to stop my review here, but I'll be back shortly to continue my review of The Devil Wears Prada. I thank you very much for watching this long, and I'll see you soon on the next one. Bye.